position at the very least.
And I feel like they've looked good, honestly. Maybe it isn't so hard to look good against Power Rangers, who are the bottom team of this group so far. But there was another team that drew against them. Who was that? Was that...
They drew against Alliance, which that was the biggest upset of this group. I feel like is the fact that they drew with Alliance. But I feel that's a 2-game series. You can pull that off. I don't have as much faith in 4AC as you guys. I feel like okay, you drew with Alliance and that's impressive. But are you actually going to be able to keep those kind of results going for you to be able to go all the way? Personally, I think they just got an early jump start. Basically, the schedule sort of favored them in some way, right? Because they look really good because they tied with Alliance.
Okay. Well, let's not leave it to faith. Let's leave it to gameplay. Once again, Game 1 of Burden United and 4 Anchors. Burden United playing to keep themselves alive, and 4 Anchors, well, if they could sweep, they're guaranteed top 2 and a very high likelihood of advancing into the next round. And it's going to be LD and Cap bringing you the action. Gentlemen, take it away.
All right, here we go. Team America back on the cast again, buddy. Pleasure to be casting with you.
LD liked my interview, so he brought me in for a second interview.
You made it to the next stage.
I'm on the second stage, guys. It's just me and 10 other people now.
You're not beyond the shekel just yet, but someday you might get there, Cap. And well, with that said, Burden United will be on the Radiant side. 4 Anchors, the Dire. Already the jungle invasion has begun. They want to slow down this Chen a little bit. We're going to see Boogie planting down at least 1 Observer Ward. We'll see if he wants to place more. There are 2 sentries prepared, and actually, they've got another pack of potential dewarding available on the Chen. So they really want to invest a lot in securing this Chen's jungle, as well as just dewarding and potentially even ganking out the Bounty Hunter. Burden United looks like they'll go with the standard lane setup. It's going to be the PL bottom, protected by the Witch Doctor, the Chen off in the woods. They will throw the Storm Spirit on the mid lane, and then it'll be the Bristle Boss in the off lane.
So for ASE, they're actually going to be running a pseudo-aggro try. The Bounty Hunter, of course, is just going to be locked onto the Chen and maybe ganking up the middle lane occasionally, but he'll be mostly focused on dealing with the Chen. So it's going to be kind of like a 2 versus 2 in the bottom lane. So they are actually clashing. I like the lane. I think they can definitely do this, put pressure on the Phantom Lancer. My biggest concern is actually that they're not going to be able to put pressure on Necroman, who I see as the most likely person to carry the game for Burden United. I think Burden as a whole have a lot of their success because of Necroman's performances in the past, and I foresee that his 1 versus 1 scenario here against Nymphy as the SF is pretty favorable to him.
Also, just matchup-wise, even if PL gets really big this game, there's a lot of ways to deal with. You've got the Disruption, which can be nice, create your own small PL army. Axe, who's great against illusion-based carries in general, and certainly against a hero like PL. Matt's AoE from 2 of the other heroes this game, the Leshrac, as well as the Shadow Fiend. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I feel like out of all these heroes, it's the Storm that has the best chance of snowballing and taking over. And already you could see the Courier is just trying to find that way back, but Boogie is waiting for it. They may even have to leave it here for a little bit longer without seeing this Bounty Hunter. I mean,
yeah, they most definitely should. They should know the Bounty Hunter is going to be rotating across, and sure enough, they lay down another counter ward just to be able to kill the hard camp, but it will also spot Boogie as he comes across. So they do free up that camp for the 2-minute rune, for the 2-minute spawn. Pretty good setup there.
Hasn't gotten any experience yet, though. The Chen was able to clear one out just before he arrived, and still sitting at level 1. I would say it's not the ideal start, but at the same time, you have to look at the overall map. They've already dropped 4 Sentry Wards to deal with this Bounty Hunter, and they haven't killed him.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, the Phantom Lancer is still left pretty much solo against a Shadow Demon Leshrac, so he's probably not going to get that much CS. He can lance occasionally for some last hits, but obviously he doesn't have something like Keeper of the Light to ensure that constant mana spam.
Yeah, they have managed to deward their jungle at the very least, though. As mentioned, it was expensive, but Boogie is here now, starting to leech a bit of experience. They're bringing in Valix. They maybe can get off a disruption. It looks like they want to kill off the Centaur and just get that delicious gold and experience, which they will. Now trying to last hit another Chen creep. It's basically a 2-on-2 rumble in the jungle early on. And looking at the other lanes around the map, seems like farm is relatively even for mid, but in the side lanes, 4 Anchors is coming out on top. So a great start for them, and now looking for an even better follow-up as the Wildkin Dance of Doom begins. It seems Boogie may be forced away. Another round of nukes coming in. Sing Sing even arriving. Boogie is going to walk into the Sentry Ward. This will prompt a Lance Call, but I don't know if they have the damage. They do, just barely, Cap. First blood going to Burden United.
That was very crazy close. I mean, he got so close to getting out of that counter ward. That's really unfortunate he ends up dying there. Still, though, I think overall, still quite favorable for 4ASC. They have that Axe versus Bristleback matchup that should go fairly well for the Axe.
Do you favor the Axe in this matchup?
I do favor the Axe for this matchup. It's actually primarily because the Axe is just going to get really good farm no matter what. Even if he doesn't completely shut out the Bristleback, he should be able to have a slight edge in CS, and that's really powerful because I think the Axe is one of those heroes will obviously have a much larger impact with that quick blink dagger than anything the Bristleback could possibly have.
Oh, gonna make a move here on Sing Sing. 4 anchors up. Actually, it's Come With Me who gets the disruption. Now the follow-up stun comes through, well-timed and well-placed. They'll get the kill. They might go for a little bit more. Sing Sing's gotta be careful here. 2 kills is a disaster, and they're gonna get him. No, he jukes away the plays by Sing Sing. He survives, I believe, sticking up there at the final hour. Matumba Man and Valix almost dead after this. They'll have to pop us out. They used a lot of mana. Turned out to be a very nice bait by Sing Sing that pours out a lot of consumables on the 4 anchor side.
I was sitting there going like, why isn't he using Doppelganger? Boy, Sing Sing really pushed that one to the edge. Meanwhile, Nymphy, small little thing, not very action-packed, but he does get a regeneration rune at the top lane, which is pretty important for his spam against the Storm Spirit.
Also just denying it to the Storm as well.
Yeah,
is a really big deal.
They are going to have that level 6 soon on Necroman, though, so look for that first Chen rotation to the middle lane if possible, but you can already see the Bounty Hunters trying to help out for that middle lane as well.
All right, well, Storm closing in on level 6 here, and yeah, as mentioned, that mid lane is even, but again, it's the side lane farm where 4 anchors have a pretty sizable advantage here. Chen only at 10 creeps, which is very underwhelming for 5 minutes into the game. I feel like in that sense, plus all the forced down sentries, it's like you said, even though the first blood goes Burden United's way, it's still overall 4 anchors who are in control of the game and also having the advantage early on.
Yeah, and I think like Trixie being the most experienced player on 4ASC means a lot, right? I think you can depend on him to make the big plays, and if he got actually a couple of spins, he might be able to kill Paris here.
Oh, Paris gets chopped. Oh, Jesus. That was like the absolute minimum threshold required. Meanwhile, the Shadow Fiend able to kill up the Chen in his own jungle up on the dire side of the map, but that's not all. They're trying to go bottom. Great. Doppelganger dodge away, and well, now a bit of a Phantom Rush forward by the Illusions. Won't amount to too much. But yeah, while that was all happening, the Chen tried to sneak into the Dire Woods, and they're now going to ball in onto Memphi. Necroman using all his mana. Memphi might even be able to turn this one with the regen rune. They've got to be careful about this extension. No, the Chen creep won't dissuade any kind of counterplay. But I have to point out this ward near the top rune on the Dire side, because that's first scouted the Chen when he tried to go aggro jungle at the beginning of the game, and then it set up the Shadow Fiend kill on him just now. It's been a very high impact ward for them. And I think it's just a great ward to place when you know you're running the counter jungling bounty, because Chen's natural reaction is, I'm just going to try and dodge this bounty hunter.
Trixie taking a lot of damage from Necroman. He may actually go down here as Paris is going to come in from the side. Increase of armor. The last bit of pure damage is not enough for the Chen, but the Satyr nuke comes in, gets the kill instead. Chen goes down in exchange for it, but well worth it, especially if they can get Nymphy as well. Paris going to be making the dive here underneath the tier 1 tower. No rotations to be able to stop this one. If there are, they're just a bit too late. Matumba Man might be able to get the turnaround kills. Boogie slowing him down. The lightning goes out, but Paris is actually still quite healthy with that 2 levels in Bristleback, and he's trying to catch up to Boogie, but
they
won't be able to get him.
They are not respecting the Bristle very much.
They are
4
not.
anchors. They're a bit on the squishy side here. The only hero that really can soak up those quills early is the Axe, and of course he got caught by 4, so at that point he's not making his way out. Nice little counter exchange there for Burden United overall, and all the while their PL got a bit of me time on the bottom lane. Sing Sing still only level 5, rather impoverished, sitting at only 26 CS, and now more action on mid. They do manage to bring down the Bristle, though. The trade is Storm jumping onto Leshrac. Pretty nice. Now Nymphy looking for some Chen creeps as well. I'll get those too. And it's just going to be Century City here in the mid lane.
Necroman already doing so well on his Storm Spirit, putting a lot of pressure on 4ASC, and they have to now, they almost have to like abandon the bottom lane, or, okay, I like this play. Putting the Bounty Hunter at bottom makes a lot of sense, because you keep, like, Bounty Hunter's not going to do anything against a Storm Spirit or any of the other rotations at this point with such a low level, so it's good they can afford to put him as the bottom laner now to soak up that experience and maybe get some CS, but they got to keep the rest of their heroes grouped, right? You always have to have a support behind the middle lane, and preferably a support behind the top lane if possible.
Yeah, I think the 2 most important things, well actually 3 most important things for 4 anchors now are get the level 6 on Bounty Hunter, make sure Shadow Demon has a TP in case Storm jumps and goes for a kill, and get the Axe Blink Dagger. Then you could start to go after the Storm. There's going to be a clash at the top rune here momentarily. It looks like everybody getting into position. Oh, Hasted Bristle on the hunt. There's no Demonic Purge. Valak's going to quickly TP out. The ball forward comes, and he barely escapes, but Nymphy stuck around trying to help his friend. This This may end up costing him his life. Okay, Paris gonna back down, and off in the Radiant jungle. More action. Matumba Man going man mode against 3. He will get 1 kill, but he's gonna pay with his life. And in the end, ends up being a rather chaotic 2-for-1, favoring Burden United.
Yeah, again, I couldn't really disagree with the decision to put the Leshrac at the bottom lane more. I mean, he's only level 5 at this point in time. Like, you're just going to get spammed out by the Phantom Lancer or have some sort of bad rotation, or the Chen's going to catch you. Something's going to go wrong for this Leshrac. I think they really need to give him the safe lane farm role, and Trixie either goes down to bottom lane, or I think he can actually just full-time jungle and keep him kind of off map, hiding that Blink Dagger, hiding the Blink Dagger timing. And also, I mean, you never know. You could also just rotate in without the Blink Dagger.
Trying to go for the stun combo, but again, Saint just easily dodges away. It seems like that's the solution to this type of play. They purge him, and Saint continues to retreat out. They can't really follow this up too well. Another nuke coming forward. This is a long, aggressive dive, and it might be punished here. Come with me. Going out with the cast, doing a decent amount of damage. Didn't have the death ward, unfortunately. Meanwhile, top lane looks like they want to make a go here on the Bristleback. Boogie's getting in position. Trixie moving forward. I don't know if these two can take him down, and while that's happening mid lane as well, there's an attempted go. Are we going to see that beautiful hurl boulder? We are, you betcha. Fall in from the storm. Follow-up damage is there for the test of faith. Nemphy goes down again. Still, though, he's farming nicely, and they do try to make the jump onto Paris, but there's not too many creeps here hitting the axe. The quills are going to stack up. I don't know if they have this one. Cap, it could go the other way. Battle Hunger coming out. They're close to being able to get the dunk, but Paris is also very much close to getting the double kill. Those quills
Here comes the Chen. They might be able to actually get both kills here, potentially. Trixie just outside of range. Paris dropping low. They want to be able to get that Culling Blade, but if they don't get it, Trixie's now dead. Paris going to finish him off and able to run him down. Boogie, fortunately,
now bottom lane, they're making another go on the PL here. Continuous aggression all around the map. 4 anchors going in very hard on Sing Sing. Out comes the cast. They still don't have the death ward, but Storm's here to save the day.
Cleanup time. That's exactly what that is. Necroman, maybe not. Nemphy actually providing the protection raises. Come with me, dropping quite low. Nemphy hoping to be able to get that last raise, but come with me. Nice little juke through the trees, and we'll be able to survive more rotations now, as even the Bristleback is coming down to bottom lane. We'll refill the bottle of Necroman to help keep him a little bit more sustained.
4 anchors. Just does the axe have his blink yet? He's got to be really close to it at this point.
No, he just keeps on. They keep on trying to go for these kills. He's not farming as much. In fact, they might just go for another kill. My Nuts is going to be caught out as easily run down. This should be a free kill for Trixie, and perhaps his Blink Dagger gold if he gets some of the Chen creeps.
They're going to slice his nuts up, and My Nuts are dead. Oh, sad, sad day for the Chen. The creeps will also be farmed up. Maybe if you even see a dunk coming out to secure that one. Nah, he's going to hang on to it.
Shuriken, there we go. That's totally worth it, I think. I mean,
this storm is getting out of control, though. That's where I'm worried for 4 anchors. The Bristlebacks had a great start, but it's really the storm they need to be able to deal with later on, and the Axe Blink is just so slow. That is their tool for ganking him. And until they get it, they can't really pressure him.
So I kept wanting to bring this up. The Shatter Demon Leshrac, I believe your skill build here for Shatter Demon should be 2-3-0 or 2-2-1 or something along those lines. I want a 2nd level in Disruption. I know that's really weird, but the reasoning for it is Doppelganger is 25 seconds cooldown. Guess what Disruption is at level 1?
25
seconds. So literally every single time they try to make a go on Sing Sing, he always is able to doppelgang away.
That's a really good point. And I mean, the other thing is that is their other main initiation, is the Disruption into Splitter. So getting a couple of extra levels in Soul Catcher, it just helps you burst heroes down quickly, which they seem to be lacking. But in good news for 4 anchors, they do now have Track, and Track can help kind of ease the pain of going 1-for-1 in exchanges against a PL Storm draft. All of a sudden, you're getting a little bit of bonus gold. As we can see here, Burden United are starting to pull ahead just a touch. But it's still early, and it's still a very even game. So much hinges on the next, 4 to 5 clashes over the coming couple of minutes. I mean, I say 4 to 5. Maybe it's going to be 15 the way these teams are playing.
Yeah, Paris is actually getting a lot of room here in this top lane. He's going to have his Vanguard by 13 minutes, which is really good timing, especially with Treads already picked up. Where do you think he goes from there, though? I don't particularly value Crimson Guard here very much at all, because you're dealing with an SF and a Leshrac. Not so sure about any sort of other sustained plays such as Pipe. I don't think that's necessary.
I think getting just the Vanguard's okay, but yeah, yes. I don't think upgrading it is the way to go. Meanwhile, I think Axe Crimson Guard would be amazing this game, but Boogie trying to make a go here on My Nuts. There is some backup rotating in. Both teams starting to bring their whole gang into the fray. Necroman trying to jump onto Matumba Man. He's fairly squishy at this point. The Lance is going to come in. The big long range ball. They couldn't get off the Disruption, and now Boogie could be next. The cast begins to bounce to Valak. Alex has no additional target back the other way.
Oh my
Boogie
God.
on the retreat up, but the Lances continue to pile in, and they need their axe. They need that Blink Carl to turn this fight around, but he still isn't here. He finally TP's in. There's the reveal. Sing-Sing with the dodge. He avoids the Blink Call. This guy is a magician.
And all the meanwhile, that tier 1 tower does go down from Nemphy, who was just AFK pushing that one. That was a really weird series of events there. The fact that he didn't get the disruption on the Leshrac probably was a good thing, because then he disrupted the Bounty Hunter at the perfect time. Just went out half a second after he disrupted him. So when he came back, he was invisible. There was no vision whatsoever because he was outside of the counter ward. And then he throws down the track, which gives the movement speed just a little bit extra for them to be able to get out.
They're lucky they didn't give up 3 kills.
Oh, they're very lucky, man. That should have been Necroman just cleaning up kill after kill, but unfortunately...
They have the Blink, though, and I guess this is the plan for 4Anchors, is with this Axe Blink, try to get aggressive, find some pickoffs. But you can see Birdie United seem very prepared for it. They're running around their jungles, 4 heroes now. They know that spreading out is a great way to just get picked apart by the Bounty Hunter Axe duo. We do see 4Anchors also with the mech on Nemphy. He had kind of a rough start, dying quite a bit, having to fight more than you would like as a Shadow Fiend, but he's had chance to catch up in the jungle, and with the mech and the Axe Blink, 4Anchors, I wouldn't say they want a death ball, but they want to try and force objectives a bit here.
Yeah. Do you agree with Matumba Man not going for a level and Edict early on, like a 2-1-4 build? That is fairly common. Do you agree with his maxed out Split Earth? I do, simply because it's hard enough for them to win the fights in the first place, and Diabolic Edict isn't particularly good in the engagements that are happening, which usually have like 2 to 3 heroes plus Phantom Lancer illusions.
Yeah, I think you just want the more like straight AoE spells versus the Chen creeps and the PL illusions.
Yeah.
They need that extra wave clear to ensure Burden don't push them too hard. So yeah, I would agree. I think this is the right build, and maybe he goes back for a point in Edict, but I think for now, the more just straight AoE you have, the better to deal with the kind of large army that Burden United are building up.
And they're rotating around. They've got some vision of Necroman for a while now. And they also see Paris. Looks like mass rotations are going to come out, but Necroman left that Remnant there. I'm unlikely to see a kill other than perhaps Paris, which they are going to be able to burst down, it seems, as the Split Earth lands and Paris run down with the Culling Blade. They're going to try and chase Necroman, but he's got full mana.
They want to really go on this
wow.
Trixie going deep. Okay, he's going to back.
Yeah, it looks like he just wanted to force like more mana out of Necroman to render him kind of useless and has to go back to Fountain.
We do see at the power of Axe and Shadow Demon versus Bristle. Axe to force him to face you, and then Shadow Demon to give him that Soul Catcher amp, the pure damage that just chews through what normally is a very tanky hero. So because they have that combo, I think 4Anchors aren't that worried about Bristle later on in the game, and it's really more going to be the Storm and the PL as this game moves along that occupy most of their attention.
I want to go back real quickly, just because it's a mechanical thing, but I believe Shadow Poison does get dispelled by Doppelganger. Do you think that's right?
I'm not sure, actually. I'll take your word for it.
I thought that was the case. I remember thinking that Shadow Poison was really ineffective against him for that reason, which then again makes me question the
build even more.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even there where they caught the Bristle, he didn't drop all that quickly. Like, if that's a level 3 Soul Catcher, he just melts. But it took a little bit longer to bring him down in the end. So I think the one good thing is the Shadow Poison does help you a lot against the Chen army. So maybe that was the concern for 4Anchors, is we're a little worried that Burden United might death ball us, roll up the towers, and then Storm and PL get super fat from that additional influx of gold. And in that sense, it could be this kind of safer build to help ensure that they're not down like 4 or 5 towers to 1 or 2 moving into the mid game.
Matumba Man is, net worth-wise, he's still a little bit far behind. He's sitting at 5,300 behind the Bristleback, the Phantom Lancer, and the Axe. The top 2 obviously being our mids. The Storm Spirit sitting at 6,100. You've got 8K on the SF, though, and that's just a natural Shadow Fiend who is kind of farming out of control. Everyone expects an SF to get ahead, unless the Storm Spirit was just having an amazing game. And Necroman is doing well. He's 3-0-3, but he can't possibly keep up with the SF.
On the note of Necroman, it looks like he's going Bloodstone. Do you think this is the right build this game? Would an Orchid be a preferable choice? Like, what's the thought process here, I guess, as a Storm player?
I think you naturally, I call it a soft counter, but I believe Mech is a soft counter to the Orchid, right? The either build from the SF is a natural counter to the Orchid in either way. Like, it's just a natural Mech BKB, which tanks you up quite heavily, or it's the Yule Scepter build, which has heavily fallen out of favor. The Leshrac it would obviously be effective against, but when it comes to the mech, it still helps you out if you're trying to go for full 5-on fights. I think 4ASC are more likely to be 5-manning, and in that case, I think Storm Spirit needs to go for more team fight build, which in my opinion is Bloodstone because it stats you up quite heavily, and you're not as dependent. Orchid is much more pick-off oriented.
I guess the other thing is not the easiest Orchid game because there is disruption. You've got heroes that tend to build tanky, Leshrac, Bloodstone, Shadow Fiend, Mech, BKB. And yeah, so in that sense, I think and the Shadow Fiend's ahead. I'm not sure to what extent our Storm player realizes it, but they probably suspected from Nemphy as they have not killed him in quite some time.
And they're going to be able to get an Aegis for him soon as well.
All right, so do you give this to the Shadow Fiend, the Leshrac here? Well, all right, they give it to the Leshrac.
Okay.
Kind of the natural hero to carry it with, but
yeah, for sure.
Shadow Fiend is a bit more farmed at the, well, actually quite a bit more farmed at this current moment. Oh, we do see the Storm being hunted here a bit by Boogie. He's, oh, did he see him actually? I think he might not have.
They might be able to bait out a go on the SF, or Boogie dies.
Well, there used to be a bounty hunter there.
Pretty good read there from did they see the like when he invised up again a second time?
Maybe.
Or either that or it was just a really good read by him.
Oh, that was kind of cool. Right as the creeps get teleported out, they get raised in the face as well. Maybe they did actually, because it looks like they just got dewarded, so he may have ran past that ward in the dire jungle. I'm not actually 100% sure, but either way, game is going to settle down a bit now. It looks like both teams are going to look towards their next big items. For 4 anchors, that'll be a medallion likely coming out here for Valix, although they already secured the Roshan. But I think more this is about throwing it on your allies at this stage of the game just to help tank up the Shadow Fiend a little bit, as well as potentially the Leshrac against a decent amount of physical damage coming up.
Doing some stacking the Ancient Creeps on both sides. That's very notable. I mean, Phantom Lancer and the Bristleback can go both farm pretty quickly. The SF and his just raw physical damage is also pretty good. They do have the BKB up on Nemphy. They're going to try and get a BKB up on the Bristleback on the opposing side. I think that 4ASC really should be the ones playing aggressively. They need to use this Aegis first of all, but I generally think that you need to be fighting with your axe as much as possible, particularly since Burden United have a very greedy 3-core lineup. Bristleback, Phantom Lancer, and Storm Spirit, they all need a distinct amount of farm before they're effective mid-game fighters.
Yeah, I would say this is like the perfect time. They just got Crimson Guard Gold on Trixie. Nemphy just completed BKB, already has the mech as mentioned. The Shadow Demon got his medallion, and Leshrac, I believe Bloodstone's either done or about to be. So with the Aegis, to me, this is the time for 4 anchors to start forcing fights. And I guess the question is, what's the appropriate response from Burden United? Do you think they can take those fights, or should they just be kind of split pushing and turtling and avoiding those confrontations?
Split pushing, I would say as much as possible. They can try and I would utilize, say, like the Chen Creeps plus the Storm Spirit on one side, the Phantom Lancer on the other, and then maybe like Witch Doctor, Cask, and perhaps Bristleback, helping to try and like bring back the creep wave after it hits the tower, and perhaps even you draw the attention to 4ASC.
Trixie going in rather aggressively. Cask will bounce twice. That's going to be it. He did pop the Crimson Guard, and how did Burden United see that? I think they're even more likely to follow the train of thought that you did, and we already see that PL running towards his own Ancients, may head towards the top lane soon enough. Necroman is on the split push, and he's going to be able to take the creep wave down. 4 anchors a little hesitant about making a move anywhere. They're going to work on the tier, actually they were working on the tier 2 bottom, so not really that hesitant, but Necroman at least doing a decent job of this. He's going to make it go on Trixie. Suddenly the wild Bristleback arrives. They're going in, they want to force out TP. Trixie will whiff the call here, and that is a nice play by Burden United. They force the TP back, they prevent the 5-man mid in doing so, but come with me may permit it as he gets completely caught out and ends up falling. Just really can't be there on his own.
And can they kill some of these Chen Creeps as well? That would be a nice little influx of gold. The TP out, it looks like he got all but one of them. So big win there for 4ASC, not only getting the pick off, but also getting the Chen Creeps, which will easily allow them to be able to push down this tier 2 tower.
All right, Cap, here comes the push that we've been looking for from 4 anchors, and they will take down the tier 2 mid. I think this Aegis is very close to expiring, but they may try to force their way into the base now. Yeah, it looks like we've got about a minute remaining, so enough time for 4 anchors to look to force it a bit more. They're going to go for a blink call on the Necroman, but there was no backup. Nemphy wasn't really expecting the leap to happen, and I don't know, even those two together, if they could have gotten the job done. So creep wave will be spammed out. There is a bit of a split push brewing from Sing Sing off in the bottom lane on the PL. And that is going to force 4 Anchors to probably relax a little bit. I feel like they got enough value out of this Aegis. They took the tier 2 mid, they pushed the lane all the way in, and they didn't actually give up any towers in doing so.
Yeah, and then while Burn United are naturally grouped up together, I believe that they should go for a smoke. The problem is that they would probably need to do it inside of their base because there's probably some very aggressive wards being laid down, but at the same time, there are also tracks. So I don't think they're going to be able to find any sort of quick push out because I do believe they need to punish 4AAC during the downtime of next Roshan, right? I think they do need to go for some pickoffs. They can't just sit back and let everything die because at this rate, they're going to be seeing a push uphill by 30, 35 minutes, and by that point in time, you're looking at maybe a Sing Sing Diffusal and a Storm Spirit who's got a decent amount of farm, but other than that, I don't think they'll have the capabilities to defend base.
And 4 Anchors are likely to have mass BKB on their cores at that point.
Yeah.
The Axe, I think, the one that may not have it, but actually he's ahead of the left track, so he's probably building BKB next. You already have it on the Shadow Fiend. Boogie, he throws the track from very long range from behind. It is actually Burn United who are taking objectives now. They take the tier 1 bottom. They're going to move on to the tier 2 as well. We do see 4 Anchors countering this with a bit of a push of their own in the top lane. Although it seems they're going to back off and wait for another creep wave. So far, Burn United, I think, are just getting the upper hand here in the most recent exchange. Although they are still trailing overall in terms of net worth. Now the double TP towards the top side of the map. PL coming in. Farther back is the Witch Doctor. The tower, not quite in deny range, but very close. And it seems like 4 Anchors will try to punish these heroes for TPing out by going on their teammates. Unfortunately, there's nobody in the neighborhood. So now, Cap, I guess it most likely settles down into that next Roche. Do Burn United contest it? Does 4 Anchors do anything with the next stages? But it's just enough farm from Burn United that I feel like if you're 4 Anchors, you're not comfortable with the way the game's developing. You're not worried, but you're also not super relaxed and like, oh, okay, we definitely got this side.
Yeah, you can't afford to just let up just yet. Burn United, they still have a 3-core lineup. You let this game go too late, you're going to lose out. And if you try and push up, obviously you need to push uphill 35, maybe even 40 minutes in, you should be looking to try and poke at that first tier 3 tower. But if you wait too long, Burn United take it. If you go too early at the same time, right, you end up feeding away a lot of gold to Burn United and speeding up the game quite dramatically. So it's always kind of questionable in this exact kind of lineups where your push should really lie timing-wise, and it's obviously going to be with a Roshan advantage. I do believe Burn United can afford to like trade tier 2 tower at top lane for Aegis, but anything less they should contest. They have to get something major out of Roshan, essentially.
You see Necroman now, top lane, has the Haste Rune bottled up on his Storm. Doesn't really have too many aggressive wards on this side of the map, though. It's towards the bottom lane where he's got one. Up on the hill, he's going to get caught here. The Spirit Bomb coming out, and see you later, Storm. Absolutely brilliant execution. Nemphy able to find that one with the Blink Dagger. That is some very polished teamwork coming out from 4 Anchors, and it does go back to what we talked about during the draft. This is a team of friends that have been playing together for a pretty long time, and certainly compared to Burn United.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a nice combination. I mean, who needs Heal Scepter, right, when you've got a Disruption? So
I could do to see this again. We'll have another crack at the glory of Shadow Friend.
All right, so the 4ASC are going to be able to take the tier 2 tower at the top lane, most likely. Middle tower is going to be threatened a little bit by Burn United. I wish they would commit a little bit for that one, just with like the Storm Spirit, if someone who's easily able to jump out. But instead, they're going to go for the contest at top lane.
Well, Storm is moving in with this Haster, and he's going to ball forward, find Valix, but there's a lot of heroes here. If they get the Blink Call, he's in trouble. Raze is coming out. Necroman, no! Oh, actually, just pops like a pinata to the Shadow Fiend. Purge damage, as well as a Shoryuken coming out. Cask will bounce a bit to Trixie, but Storm dead for 30 seconds. Although his buyback doesn't want to be using it now. My nuts getting caught out in the meat grinder. Chasing forward with the lightning slow. Axe about to have another call, and he's got a dunk at the ready. This is going to be 2. That's a track kill as well. Roche coming fairly soon. Actually, it's already respawned. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Sing Sing trying desperately to slow this aggression down. He does split push back a bit. He's going to lance onto Trixie, drain his mana, but at the same time, he's no threat to kill the Axe, who is, I think he's out of mana for a Blink Call. Maybe as the stick charges. Oh, he pops them. Blink forward, no mana, but reinforcements are coming. Sing Sing making a long and arduous journey back to home. They are still chasing him with that Shadow Demon, but I think 4 Anchors at this point satisfied with what they accomplished. They'll get a 4-step on Boogie, and they're going to make their way into the Roche pit. Question is, Cap, can Burden United contest?
Yeah, I really think that Burden United kind of jumped the gun. I don't think they should have gone for that top lane contest. They ended up getting caught out. It was a little bit unfortunate with an invisible axe, but again, he had a blink dagger. You kind of have to expect that Stormseer makes a jump like that, he's going to be caught. So this should be a free Roshan for 4ASE, 100%. There's no way Burden United contest after a lost team fight like that. All they go for is split push possibility. So they got a hard push this top lane as fast as humanly possible, because this is about the time that I would feel comfortable with 4ASE going uphill.
Yeah, and they have, I think, every single item you'd want at this stage of the game. The Axe BKB about to come out right now. Already the Leshrac Boots of Travel will be the choice, and he's going to build straight into Octarine, so not going to bother for BKB himself. Against PL, you'll want it eventually when there's Diffusal level 2 and he's got more items, but Sing Sing really doesn't hit that hard at this stage, so I kind of like this more aggressive offensive build, and hey, especially with an Aegis, he can afford it. Shadow Fiend, meanwhile, moving down the mid lane. He's got 4k gold, not going to spend it before the push. They'll get Matumba Man up nice and close, and he's going to just go to work with the Edict Glyph. I believe might be on cooldown here for the Radiant. It is, in fact, for quite some time. They're in danger. They're going to have to back, or they're losing a lane of Rax. Matumba Man in front cap, and although they'll try to spam him out, 4 anchors are very spread here. There's no easy jump initiation, and there's a lot of counterplay. If Storm goes in, they're going to need a send back ready, or he'll just get axe called and instantly blown up.
Yeah, this is what I really like about smoke pushes into base like this, is even if you don't manage to get a successful jump on anybody, it still provides the surprise factor that is, you can easily capitalize on it, right? Like Matumba Man just did 1,000 damage to that tier 3 tower because of the fact that Burden United were not expecting a uphill push.
Uh-oh, there's the disruption. Follow-ups there, the Requiem's coming, it hits everyone, and now Burden United gotta back the hell away. Crimson Guard aplenty. BKBs were also popped. They don't find follow-up kills. The Bristleback will buy back, and I think 4 anchors need to retreat off of this one as Trixie is pursued a little bit farther. Another 4-step. They get the buyback, but at the same time, they do no real structural damage, and they may just have to go heal before they go for their next push.
I mean, if they have no real, like, source of magical damage, most of their damage is coming out from right clicks or of something, right? How do you kill anybody on the side of 4ASE after the Shadow Fiend Requiem of Souls has gone up? Because the Requiem of Souls goes off, you lose a lot of your damage, right? You already didn't have much to begin with. You lose a lot of your right-click damage at that point in time, and then everyone gets Crimson Guarded. So the little damage that you have is then blocked out by Crimson Guard.
Yeah, they don't have that's where the synergy of the lineup feels a little off. We talked about it during the draft, is you open Bristle Chen, more of like a spread damage and like 5-man pushing lineup. Then you go into Storm, and with Storm you want to blow heroes up, but they don't have that bursty follow-up like an Invoker or an Axe or something along those lines, so, or even a Lion potentially. So even if Storm gets a good initiation, you've got, as you mentioned, all of those defensive tools, tanking those to begin with. It's tough to find kills. And that, to me, was not really the best push by 4 anchors. They overcommitted on trying to chase further. They used a lot of BKBs. We could have kind of slow-rolled it, just get the Bristle, and then go for the Rax. But still, they've got a fresh lease on life here. They'll have at least one more push with this Aegis. And I imagine now that they'll be looking to fully crack open the space and take a lane of Rax.
Yeah, and now if they initiate it on, they've actually got a lot of incentive to jump Bristle back just because he'll have, you know, no buyback at that point in time. But Matumba Man's already dropped low. The call goes out.
Oh, again, the Requiem on to Paris. He's going to be forced to retreat. Death Ward comes through, but it's hardly even tickling them. They're all just going to engage into the Death Ward. Come with me is smacked down and beaten back towards the well. They'll have to spend a little time on the sideline. Sing Sing could be next. Track comes through. They lose the PL to 5 heroes with track gold, and I believe it's level 2 track at this point. That is a lot of cash in the 4 anchors' pockets. They're not even done just yet. Matumba Man still in front. He's got the Aegis for about another minute to a minute and a half, and they'll keep on sieging in. The PL forced to buy back. They fall in on Matumba Man. He gets disrupted anyway, and all this effort to kill off a Lesh with an Aegis hardly seems worth it, but what other choice do they have? He's coming back for round 2. Can they get him a second time? That's the real kicker, and I don't think they can do it, Cap. Matumba Man's going to clear out the wave. He keeps on pressing, and now they find the Blade Call. It's Trixie again with the big initiation. Matumba Man maybe drops down here. This is Leshrac taking damage, but not quite enough. He's pushed back towards safety. 15 Bloodstone charges, looking for the Rax here. Another ball in. Storm forced to buy back, but his target gets disrupted. He gets nobody. Finally trying to fight Trixie. No! Trixie healed up, kept alive by the Lesh. Bloodstone suicide. He saves him at the final hour. Matumba Matumba Man gonna end up going out as Nemphy presses in once more. Come With Me is tracked up, and they're gonna focus on him next. They want this Witch Doctor and some tasty track gold along with it. Nemphy slaughters him. 4 anchors still going hard in the paint. My Nuts could be next. About to be auto-attacked down. He will fall. That's 4 dead. Multiple diebacks. 4 anchors hurting Burden United to the well. And this one feels like it's all but in the bag at this point.
It really is. I mean, track gold plus using buybacks, you're giving extra gold for every single kill, and you've lost gold for the second lives that you just threw at 4ASC. I mean, I got to give them credit, man. Well, right now, they've got the top 4 net worth in the game, ahead of Phantom Lancer, who was about to break his 10K before all this nonsense happened. There's no way the Burn United come back from this,
that was
in my opinion.
That was a 7,700 gold swing.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. That's actually more net worth swing than the Shadow Demon has, right? That just goes to show like how insane amount of gold was just fed to 4ASC during that whole entire fight. 4AC really impressed me there. I mean, that was some insanely good play. Like, Valix actually getting the disruption on the last track, who then commits suicide to keep the Axe alive and also denying the kill. I mean, they basically fought, and I think they're quite fortunate just due to the drafting and everything else, but they played that incredibly well. Even if I think they had an advantage from the draft, they still played it out and made some very clean, crisp, clutch plays.
The thing that I really like is they were aggressive as well. Once they realized they had the edge, the first Aegis, they get the tier 2 mid, they lock down the map, they kind of take over the Burden Unite jungle. Second Aegis, they get their key items, everything that we talked about, like, okay, this is round 2 of the timing attack, they get it. They go in, they kind of overextended with that first push a bit, used all their BKBs just to get a bristleback kill, and then they had to back, but they didn't let that phase them. They sent everyone home, they knew they had time, they kind of took a breather, and then when they came back mid, they focused on objectives, and like you said, just excellent execution kind of on the micro level in the fight. And I think definitely the play of that fight was the suicide, immediate BOT TP in on mid by the last track of Matumba Man, and while he respawned, I believe he finished off his Octarine core as well, so he came back as a godly version of his former self.
Hey LD, when you use Lotus Orb on somebody, whose illusion is going to come out from the counter Phantom Lance?
I think it's your own, right? Do you know?
Are you saying it's, well, say Shadow Demon uses Lotus Orb on Leshrac,
and then you get lanced.
Yeah.
I think it's a Leshrac illusion.
Leshrac illusion?
I'm not sure. Do you know?
I think it might be a Leshrac illusion as well, but it'll just be interesting, right?
Because when Rubik steals it and throws it, it's a Rubik illusion,
yeah.
Right? Okay. Well, I guess we're going to find out soon enough here. Matumba Man has the Lincoln Sphere as well on top of him, and he's just running into 3 heroes. They try to focus him down. He's rather tanky. Finally disrupted as he runs out of mana and kept alive. Excellent support play here from Valix. 4 anchors just going nuts in the Burden United base. It's a slaughterhouse, and it's going to be Paris who dies next. Purge, dunked, slapped down at GG. This was an impressive, dominating showing by 4 anchors.
Oh, it certainly was, man. I was coming out like the disbeliever. I was like, I don't know, guys. 4AC, I think they just got lucky, you know, but 4ASC definitely impressed. Burden United are going to have to make a better show in drafting and give themselves an opportunity and not just lose the game in the first 25 minutes. I still think that there's a lot of talent in Burden United. I've seen it before in the past few, like just the past month. I think they've improved dramatically, and if they just give themselves a better opportunity with the draft, I think they could tie it out, but 4ASC definitely looked really good.
What